Eric Clapton tells the truth about Buddy Holly, and it's disturbing. Eric Patrick Clapton was born on March 30th, 1945 in Ripley, Surrey, England. Clapton grew up with his grandparents, who he thought were his parents for most of his youth. This made him feel confused and alone. Finding out that his sister was really his mother had a big effect on him, changing his personality and giving him the heartfelt sadness that would later define his songs. Clapton was drawn to the sound of the blues from an early age. This style of music is based on deep feelings and human suffering. He spent a lot of time listening to records by blues greats like Robert Johnson, Muddy Waters, and B.B. King. Their styles and sounds will always be present in Clapton's guitar playing. In the early 1960s, Clapton joined the Yardbirds, a British band that mixed rhythm and blues with rock energy. This was the start of his journey to stardom. His amazing guitar skills rapidly earned him the nickname Slow Hand, which is a nod to his calm, steady temperament on stage and the way he played slowly. But Clapton was always looking for new ways to express himself as an artist. He left the Yardbirds because they didn't agree on how to make music. He wanted to stay true to the blues, but the band wanted to make pop music. He became a member of John Mayall and the Blues Breakers. This is where Clapton's reputation as a blues master grew. His passionate, violent solos on the 1966 album Blues Breakers with Eric Clapton made him famous right away. Fans famously wrote Clapton is God on London walls, which shows how much his playing impressed people during the height of the British blues craze. Clapton started the power trio Cream with Jack Bruce and Ginger Baker in 1966. The band changed rock music forever with its mix of blues, improvisation, and psychedelic sound. Some of their biggest songs were Sunshine of Your Love, White Room, and Crossroads. Cream made Clapton a rock god. His technical skill and emotional tone made every live show a captivating experience. He was able to balance precision and emotion in a manner that few other guitarists could. Clapton started Blind Faith with Steve Winwood, Ginger Baker, and Rick Gretsch after Cream broke up in 1968. The band didn't last long, but they made some great music that showed how versatile and sensitive he was as a musician. The 1970s were the most creative time for Clapton and the most difficult time for him personally. He put out his first solo album, Eric Clapton, in 1970, and then 461 Ocean Boulevard in 1974. The latter album had his soulful version of Bob Marley's I Shot the Sheriff. But being famous came with a high cost. Clapton fought heroin addiction and then alcoholism, both of which almost ruined his career and his life. Even though he had problems, he kept making music that touched people emotionally, turning his agony into songs that millions of people could relate to. Written for Pattie Boyd, his muse and the ex-wife of his friend George Harrison, his 1977 smash Wonderful Tonight is still one of the most romantic songs ever. In 1991, Clapton's little son, Connor, fell to his death from a New York City apartment block. This was the saddest thing that had happened to him. He was heartbroken by the loss, but it also led him to write one of the most moving and enduring melodies in modern music, Tears in Heaven. With this song, Clapton opened up about his deep sadness and desire to be with the person he lost again in the afterlife. It became a song of grieving and healing that people all around the world could relate to if they had ever lost someone they loved. The song received a number of Grammy Awards and showed again that Clapton could turn sadness into beauty. Eric Clapton has had a long and successful career. He has won 18 Grammy Awards and is the only performer to have been elected into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 times, once as a solo artist and again as a member of the Yardbirds and Cream. He has worked with a wide spectrum of performers, from B.B. King and J.J. Cale to George Harrison and Phil Collins. Even though Clapton has had times when he doubted himself and stepped back from the spotlight, his craft has never changed. His guitar tone is warm, expressive, and instantly recognizable, and it has inspired generations of musicians. Clapton's touch has a human depth that goes across styles and times, whether he's playing electric or acoustic. Clapton's life has been one of redemption and kindness, in addition to his artistic legacy. After beating his addiction, he devoted his life to helping others by opening the Crossroads Center in Antigua, a place where people who are struggling with substance abuse can get therapy. He has also raised millions of dollars for charity through the yearly Crossroads Guitar Festival, which brings together some of the best guitarists of all time to honor the spirit of music and togetherness. Eric Clapton's love life has been just as interesting and full of emotion as the music that made him famous. His marriages to Pattie Boyd and Malia McHenry were 2 very different parts of his life, and they both had a big impact on the man and artist behind timeless songs of love, loss, and redemption. Pattie Boyd, an English model and photographer who had been married to Beatles guitarist George Harrison before, was Clapton's first wife. After years of emotional agony and artistic concentration, they got married in 1979. Boyd, who was famed for her otherworldly beauty and for being the inspiration for a number of great rock songs, was at the center of one of rock music's most famous love triangles. Clapton was madly in love with her even though she was still married to Harrison. His unrequited love for her led to some of his most haunting and poignant songs. The most famous of these was Layla, the painful, heart-wrenching song that was the main song on his 1970 album Layla and other various love songs recorded with Derek and the Dominoes. The song, which was full of raw desperation, captured Clapton's desire for Boyd and is still one of rock's best examples of unfulfilled love. Boyd and Harrison's marriage ended in divorce, and she and Clapton started dating. They got married in 1979. From their marriage was anything from calm. Clapton was very addicted to drugs and alcohol, which hurt their relationship a lot. Even while their love and inspiration had kept their romance going, the marriage became more and more stressful as Clapton's drug usage and cheating drove them apart. Boyd subsequently said that living with the famous guitarist was both dazzling and devastating. There were times of brilliance, but there were also times of emotional instability. They got divorced in 1989, after 10 years of trying to deal with the grief and instability that had been a problem in their relationship. Boyd wrote her book, Wonderful Tonight, which was named after another of Clapton's love songs for her. In it, she gave an honest and caring account of their years together. The novel told the story of a man who was torn between becoming a genius and destroying himself, and a woman who loved him sincerely but couldn't save him from himself. Clapton's second marriage was a big change in his personal life. It was a time of growth, stability, and emotional maturity. He married Malia McCanner, an American graphic designer he met at a party in Los Angeles in 1999. They got married in 2002. Machinery was 24 years younger than Clapton, but they hit it off right away. This relationship gave him a sense of serenity and balance, unlike the stormy, passion-fueled ones he had in the past. Clapton had been sober for a long time by the time he met Malia. He had fought his addictions for years and finally gave them up in the late 1980s. He was also a father who was sad at the death of his young son Connor in 1991, an event that transformed the way he saw life and inspired the emotional masterpiece, Tears in Heaven. After years of trouble, Malia McHenry helped Clapton find peace. People have said that their marriage is based on respect for each other, devotion to their families, and shared faith. They have 3 daughters, Julie Rose, Ella Mae, and Sophie Bell. Clapton often talks about how happy he is to be a husband and parent, something he didn't have when he was younger. Their relationship shows that Clapton has grown up. He has moved on from the heartbreak and excesses of his rock star days and now lives a more thoughtful, stable life. Eric Clapton and Malia McHenry's marriage is a sign of lasting love and second chances. His marriage to Patty Boyd was a tempestuous tale of passion, creativity, and sorrow, and it inspired some of the best songs of the 20th century. His relationship with Malia, on the other hand, is one of healing, stability, and calm happiness. These two partnerships tell the story of a man's emotional journey. His life and art have always been connected. Clapton's music still echoes the highs and lows of his incredible search for love and peace, from the sad scream of Layla to the hopeful Wonderful Tonight and the spiritual profundity of his latter work. Eric Clapton, one of the most famous guitarists of all time, talked about Buddy Holly, the bespectacled pioneer who revolutionized the sound of popular music forever. This was one of the most important moments in rock history. Clapton gave a rare and very personal interview in which he talked about how Holly affected his early life, his music, and even how he thought about fame and tragedy. But fans were shocked and moved by what he said about his relationship with the late rock and roll star. Clapton started by saying how much he admired Buddy Holly's unique style and understated brilliant Scott. When I first heard Buddy Holly, Clapton remarked, it was like someone had opened a door I didn't even know was there. His music was simple, yet there was a kind of perfection in that simplicity that I had never heard before. Holly's joyful yet honest voice was a sign of freedom, rebellion, and a whole new universe of possibilities for a young British youngster growing up in post-war England. Clapton remembers buying his first Buddy Holly record, That'll Be the Day, with a sense of wonder and fate. He remembered that it wasn't simply the tune. It was the feeling of happiness and sadness at the same time. I felt like he was talking to me. But then Clapton said something that not many people had heard him say before. He said, I never told anyone this. But losing Buddy Holly affected me more than losing nearly any other musician. I remember when I heard the news. For a moment, it felt like the world stopped. It rocked me to my core, even though I was just a boy. He said that February 1959 day, when the music died, was a turning moment in his spiritual life. For Clapton, the sad plane crash that killed Holly, Ritchie Valens, and JP the Big Bopper. Richardson was more than simply a loss to rock and roll. It was the end of being innocent. I had never thought about how music may die before. He claimed that the folks who gave us this power were weak and could go away at any time. When Clapton linked Holly's influence to his own personal problems and career choices, his insights became even more shocking. I think Buddy's death made me afraid of success in some way, he said. He was at the top of the world, young, talented, and loved, and made me think about something, the idea that celebrity can come with a price. Clapton was always aware of that feeling as he rose to fame with the Yardbirds, Cream, and his solo career. He added that the pressure, the expectations, and the feeling of impermanence all came from the lessons he learned from Holly's experience without even trying. Clapton also said that Holly's way of writing songs had a bigger impact on his own than people thought. People talk about Muddy Waters or Robert Johnson when they talk about my influences, and that's right, Clapton stated. But Buddy Holly taught me something that the blues didn't. The strength of being innocent. He could sing about love, heartbreak, or longing without being sarcastic. It was quite hard to get to that level of purity. Clapton said that songs like Wonderful Tonight and Layla were based on his own life, but they had the same melodic and emotional honesty that he originally heard in Holly's music. He added that Buddy helped him find the right mix between emotion and melody. Then came the bit that really shocked people, a confession that connected his life's work to Holly's spirit in a deep way. When I recorded Tears in Heaven, I thought a lot about Buddy, Clapton told. He died so young, and I lost my son the same manner, without any warning. That type of loss links us across time. When I created that song, I sensed him there. People say that Clapton's voice broke when he said such remarks, which shows that his relationship with Holly had grown from admiration to something really spiritual. He died long before I could meet him, but his music taught me how to deal with anguish and turn sadness into beauty. In the end, Clapton left his audience with a thought that was both scary and consoling. I believe Buddy Holly knew more than he let on. Clapton thought about it. His songs have a kind of gentle wisdom that says life doesn't last forever, but music does. That might be why he smiled the way he did, like he already knew that every note he played would keep him alive. Buddy Holly is still a musical hero for Clapton, but he is also a spiritual mentor. He reminds Clapton of why music is important and why every note should be performed as if it were the last. Eric Clapton not only showed the world how deep that connection was, but he also showed the unspoken reality that connects all musicians to the great who came before them. Clapton's version of the facts was simple yet disturbing. Buddy Holly didn't simply give me ideas, he saved my life.